Phenylalanine enhances working memory, executive function, creative flow states, stress reduction, better mood, it's anti-anxiety, and it lessens the symptoms of ADHD. It's a highly bioavailable essential amino acid. Your body naturally converts the L-phenylalanine into the amino acid L-tyrosine, and then this is converted into L-dopa. Decarboxylation of L-dopa results in the synthesis of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Once converted into dopamine, the enzyme dopamine beta hydroxylase converts dopamine into the neurotransmitter norepinephrine and epinephrine, or noradrenaline and adrenaline. This triad of neurotransmitters are collectively referred to as catecholamines. As a nootropic supplement, you might find several different forms of phenylalanine. L-phenylalanine is the natural form found in proteins. D-phenylalanine is the mirror image of the L-phenylalanine, and it's made in a lab. The DL-phenylalanine is a combination of the two forms. L-phenylalanine can be highly effective as a nootropic for boosting cognitive function because it boosts norepinephrine and dopamine production, and this results in increased attention, motivation, and working memory. D-phenylalanine, but not L-phenylalanine, has been used to treat chronic pain, although the clinical research in this area is sparse. L-phenylalanine also stimulates the production of thyroid hormones T3 and T4, and these are crucial in maintaining both overall physical and cognitive health. L-phenylalanine helps to produce the catecholamine triad of neurotransmitters, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Sleep deprivation and extreme stressors like heat and cold can deplete the catecholamine levels. L-phenylalanine restores them to preserve the optimal cognition. Phenylalanine is a necessary precursor of dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. As your dopamine levels increase, you're better able to concentrate, organize your thoughts, and stay productive. L-phenylalanine can be an effective treatment for some ADHD symptoms. L-phenylalanine works in synergy with pharmaceutical drugs like Ritalin and Adderall by boosting extracellular levels of dopamine, helping these drugs to be more effective and mitigating side effects like crashes when the drugs wear off. Phenylalanine is found in protein-rich food like soybeans, cheese, nuts, seeds, beef, lamb, chicken, pork, fish, eggs, beans, and whole grains. The artificial sweetener aspartame also contains phenylalanine. Your brain converts L-tyrosine to L-dopa, which then produces the neurotransmitter dopamine. The unused dopamine is then further converted into the neurotransmitter norepinephrine and epinephrine, and this triad of neurotransmitters are collectively referred to as the catecholamines. Many users prefer L-phenylalanine over other catecholamine precursors because it supports neurotransmitter production without directly increasing the neurotransmitter levels. This last part is key because indiscriminately increasing neurotransmitters across the board can lead to imbalances and tolerance, and this can defeat the purpose of taking a nootropic in the first place. For example, not enough epinephrine can decrease cognition, and too much norepinephrine can decrease attention, processing speed, and executive function. L-phenylalanine is an essential amino acid, and this means you have to get it from food, or as a supplement. Your body cannot synthesize phenylalanine on its own. L-phenylalanine is converted into the amino acid L-tyrosine in the liver. Once L-tyrosine crosses the blood-brain barrier, it's converted into L-dopa, which is further converted into the neurotransmitters dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. D-phenylalanine is a synthetic version, or a mirror image, of L-phenylalanine. It's created in a lab, and it has a different mechanism of action in the body. D-phenylalanine slows the action of the enzymes carboxypeptidase A, endorphinase, and enkephalinase. These enzymes degrade endorphins. Slowing down these enzymes to reduce the endorphins can help to reduce pain. DL-phenylalanine is a 50-50 combination of L-phenylalanine and D-phenylalanine, and by combining the two, in theory, you get the best of both, an antidepressant and a pain-relieving effect. L-phenylalanine is converted into L-tyrosine, which in turn is converted into L-dopa in the brain, and the L-dopa is used to make the feel-good neurotransmitter dopamine. So depression could be the result of not getting enough of the first amino acid, L-phenylalanine, in a chain of events needed to produce the dopamine. In one study done in Germany, 20 depressed patients received 75 to 200 milligrams per day of DL-phenylalanine for 20 days. At the end of the trial, 12 of the depressed patients could be discharged without any further treatment. 4 of the patients had a moderate decrease in depressive symptoms, and 4 patients showed no response. L-phenylalanine turns into L-tyrosine once taken as a supplement. It then converts into the neurotransmitter dopamine, and dopamine is used to control movement in the body. It's fundamental to memory, attention, and problem solving. The unused dopamine can then convert into the neurotransmitter norepinephrine and epinephrine. Norepinephrine is important for attentiveness, emotions, sleeping, dreaming, and learning. Epinephrine drives your fight or flight response. It's what prompts you to react to dangerous circumstances, emergency situations, or in stressful situations or environments. This balance in neurotransmitters is critical to be fully optimized to have a healthy brain, and it's why some users choose L-phenylalanine to allow the body to make the neurotransmitters that it needs, instead of causing an imbalance by boosting one neurotransmitter over another. A study in Venezuela investigated ADHD and autism and the implications of amino acids on these neuropsychiatric disorders. 40 subjects affected by autism and 11 with ADHD, along with 41 healthy subjects, were included in the study. The researchers found those with ADHD had decreasing phenylalanine and increasing glycine, and this disrupted their inhibitory neurotransmission system. Not enough phenylalanine and increasing lysine was present in those with autism. Another study at Ohio State University looked at amino acids in 28 ADHD patients, and they found all the subjects with ADHD had significantly lower levels of the amino acids phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, histidine, and isoleucine. The researchers concluded each subject had a general deficit in amino acid transport, absorption, or both. As we get older, our brain and our body chemistry and energy metabolism changes. Dopaminergic neurons are damaged or die. Neurotransmitter levels decline. Thyroid hormone levels decline. Stress levels increase, and working memory and mood declines. All of these changes are often attributed to aging, but they could also be the result of dietary or lifestyle choices. Unchecked, they could lead to neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's, a drop in the quality of life, and depression. L-phenylalanine can boost levels of the neurotransmitters dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine, and it can help a sluggish thyroid produce more T4 and T3. L-phenylalanine can help to boost cognition, especially in stressful situations. It helped to improve decision making, the flow state, and creativity, cognitive flexibility, and working memory. L-phenylalanine converts into L-tyrosine, which then converts into L-dopa to produce dopamine. L-dopa is also used to make melanin in the body. This conversion process helps in the removal of neurotoxic quinones, and it chelates heavy metals like mercury and lead, which can accumulate in and damage neurons. The dopamine that's not used by your brain is available to produce norepinephrine, which is important for attentiveness, emotions, sleeping, dreaming, and learning. L-phenylalanine may be an effective nootropic when it's stacked with ADHD and ADD medicine, like Ritalin or Adderall. It helps to supply extracellular dopamine that's needed to improve the effectiveness of the stimulants used to boost the uptake of dopamine in the brain. L-phenylalanine is a precursor to catecholamines, so if you're not low on dopamine, norepinephrine, or epinephrine, you might not feel any effect. Many users, however, report a lift in mood, better focus, concentration, increased energy, and an overall sense of well-being. L-Phenylalanine can help to readjust your motivation levels. It can help lower anxiety levels, especially social anxiety. Supplementing with L-Phenylalanine can help to bring your blood pressure down if it's elevated from a stressful situation or environment. Taking it before a stressful event can help. L-Phenylalanine helps to buffer the effects of stimulants like caffeine or amphetamines. It helps potentiate and prolong the effects of Ritalin and Adderall, and it reduces the crash. If you're into athletics or do manual work, you'll find supplementing with L-Phenylalanine before a workout or a construction job can leave you feeling great afterwards. It can help to mitigate many of the effects of acute stress caused by short-term stressors. And L-Phenylalanine helps your body to produce L-tyrosine, which helps to produce melanin, so you might find it easier to get a tan. Several studies have investigated the use of phenylalanine for the treatment of depression. One study looked at using DL-phenylalanine in a small group of patients who failed to respond to popular antidepressants like MAOI inhibitors. In this study, the researchers worked with 23 participants who were diagnosed with depression and who had not responded to standard antidepressants. They were given 50 or 100 milligrams of phenylalanine daily for 15 days. The researchers found the phenylalanine completely improved mood in 17 of the patients within 13 days of the 15-day trial. Another study in the Journal of Neurotransmission studied DL-phenylalanine and used with 20 depressed patients. The subjects were given 75 to 200 milligrams per day of DL-phenylalanine for 20 days. The study found that 8 patients completely recovered from depression, and another 4 experienced a significant improvement in mood. Another 4 patients saw mild to moderate improvements, and another 4 didn't respond to the treatment. This study shows phenylalanine has considerable antidepressant properties, and it's effective for the majority of people suffering from depression. Phenylalanine for ADHD seems at first glance as a natural solution for the symptoms. It's a precursor to the neurotransmitter dopamine, which is targeted with stimulants like Ritalin and Adderall. But the very limited clinical evidence tells a different story of practical use. In a double-blind crossover study, 19 patients with ADD were given DL-phenylalanine or placebo for 2 weeks. 13 of the ADD patients experienced a significant improvement in the ADD symptoms compared to the placebo. All patients saw an improvement in the mood. But the patients who did respond to DL-phenylalanine lost all positive benefits within 3 months. And it's interesting, a later study with ADHD patients using L-phenylalanine instead of DL-phenylalanine produced no clinical benefit. Another study from 1987 treated 11 hyperactive boys for 2 weeks with D-phenylalanine. There was no significant improvement or deterioration in behavior. There's a modern school of thought that there are several different types of ADD and ADHD, and the symptoms are caused by malfunctions in different parts of the brain, depending on the type of ADHD. The bottom line is someone dealing with ADHD may benefit from supplementing with phenylalanine, and the DL-phenylalanine is the best option. You'll have to see if it works, and after taking it for a few months, you might want to take a break before taking it again to prevent intolerance. L-phenylalanine suggested dose for cognitive benefit is 500 milligrams up to 3 times per day. You might find your body responds to smaller doses, or even more if you're stacking it with stimulants like ADHD medicine. Since L-phenylalanine is an amino acid, for best absorption, it should not be competing with other amino acids, so it should be taken at least an hour before food. L-phenylalanine works best on an empty stomach. And take L-phenylalanine with vitamin B6 and vitamin C to further maximize the absorption and give your body what it needs to produce the neurotransmitters dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. L-phenylalanine is also needed along with L-tyrosine to synthesize the coenzyme Q10 that's needed to fuel your brain's mitochondria. L-phenylalanine quickly turns into the non-essential amino acid L-tyrosine once you take it, so it's considered non-toxic and very safe. Most users don't have any negative side effects. An important caution: people with phenylketonuria and women who are breastfeeding or pregnant should not take phenylalanine supplements. Phenylketonuria is an inherited condition where excess phenylalanine can build up in the body. Aspartame found in artificial sweeteners such as NutraSweet is a source of phenylalanine, and people with phenylketonuria should not use aspartame. If you're pregnant, you should ask your doctor about using artificial sweeteners or phenylalanine. At higher doses, there's reports of stomach issues and migraines. Experts say L-phenylalanine is toxic in doses of over 5,000 milligrams per day, and higher doses will not give any added benefit. If you try the recommended dose of L-phenylalanine and you don't feel the benefit, then this nootropic might not be right for you. You could try L-tyrosine or N-acetyl L-tyrosine instead. L-phenylalanine can increase your thyroid hormones, so if you're hyperthyroid, you shouldn't use L-phenylalanine. If you're taking MAOI inhibitors, you should not use L-phenylalanine. MAOIs work in the brain and they affect neurotransmitters, so using L-phenylalanine in combination with an MAOI could throw off the delicate balance of neurotransmitters needed for optimal brain health and cognition. And taking L-phenylalanine with an MAOI could also cause a severe increase in blood pressure, which could lead to a heart attack or stroke. Other side effects which can accompany unusually high doses of phenylalanine can include anxiety, rapid heartbeat, restlessness, heart palpitations, high blood pressure. If you're dealing with or on medication for high blood pressure, you shouldn't use L-phenylalanine without consulting a doctor first. Your body does synthesize some L-tyrosine from phenylalanine, and this comes from high protein food like chicken, fish, almonds, avocados, and bananas. But most of us don't get enough L-phenylalanine from our diet, so supplementation can help. And L-phenylalanine is highly bioavailable, a natural form of the amino acid, so you should feel its effects faster. L-phenylalanine is helpful for most users to combat stress and sleep deprivation. It can boost dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine levels. It's particularly helpful if you take L-phenylalanine prior to a stressful situation, a workout, or a physically demanding job. L-phenylalanine could be helpful to people dealing with ADHD and Adhd. It's a great complement to stack with stimulant medication like Ritalin or Adderall. And L-phenylalanine can provide the dopamine that your brain needs. It can help to smooth out and prolong the effects of stimulant medication and help to prevent the associated crash when they wear off. You can safely use up to 1,500 milligrams per day when stacking with ADHD medicine, but dosed throughout your day. For more information about herbs, supplements, and natural treatment plans, check out my website.